So today we're starting section 2 or 8.2. It's all about the angles of polygons. So we're going to start class by talking about the interior angle of polygons, and then we're going to end by looking at the exterior angles of polygons. Exteriors are actually a little bit easier than the interiors. So we'll start with the harder ones, and then we'll get a little easier towards the end. Any questions before we start looking at some definitions? Alright, so first we're going to look at the interior angles of a polygon. You need to write everything down that's on the board. This says the sum of the measure of the interior angles of a convex polygon with n sides is, this is the important part, n minus 2 times 180. So you're always going to start by counting the number of sides that you have, that's n, and then you just plug it right in. So n minus 2 times 180. So for example, if there were, let's say, 7 sides, you'd do 7 minus 2 times 180. If there were 9 sides, you do 9 minus 2 times 180. If there were 45 sides, you do 45 minus 2 times 180. So you definitely need to memorize this bad boy.
Write the whole thing down.
Write the whole thing down, everything on the board. Okay, so we're going to use that formula we just learned for all of these. Remember, if you need a refresher, it is n minus 2, and then you multiply that by 180. So n is always the number of sides. So how many sides do we have in example 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So n is going to equal 5. So what you need to do is 5 minus 2 times 180. Now, there's two ways you can type this in your calculator. You can do n minus 2 equals times 180, or you can use parentheses. But if you don't use the parentheses around the 5 and the 2, it'll do the order of operations like 2 times 180, and then I'll subtract that from 5. So just be careful. You either need to do this first, hit the equal sign, times 180, or you need to use parentheses. Either way will be fine. Does anyone have an answer for me? $540, good. Anyone unsure how we got 540? Did you get 540?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so for number 2, what's our n going to be now? And then multiply that number by 180. So it looks like n should be what on number 2? Anyone know? Can you guys see from where you're sitting? I got 7. Did anyone agree? Yeah, 7. So we need to do 7 minus 2 and then multiply that number by 180. $900, good. Alright, number 3, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. So n equals 8. So we need to do 8 minus 2 times 180. Great. Alright, I'm assuming those of you sitting quietly are doing these on your calculator and you're agreeing with us. That's why you're not speaking up. Is that accurate? Okay. Anyone have any questions? The next section's even a little harder, so if you're struggling with this, you need to let me know. Everybody good? All right. Here are the next 3 How about this? Go ahead and pick out one that you're going to draw, because these take a while to draw. So draw either number 4, number 5, or number 6, and then the other ones you can just show work on. So just pick one polygon to draw, and then the rest of them you just do the work that we do. So make sure you have one complete good example, and then the rest of them just show your work. So I'll give you a second to pick which one you want to draw and to draw it. Alright, so what's n on the first one? How many sides does that first one, example 4, have? 4. So n is 4 here, right? So I know that when I add all of these together, it should equal n minus 2 times 180. So that's what we need to find out first. What should they all add up to give us? And the way we do that is by doing what we just finished. So n minus 2 times 180 gives us what? $360. Good. So I am telling you that when you add all of these angles together, you should come up with 360 degrees. So I only know 3 of those angles. I want to know what the last one is. So if all together they give me 360, how can I find the missing one? Any ideas? The easiest way to do it is to subtract the 3 angles that you already know. That should give you the 1 angle that you do not know. So first, you got to find the sum of all the angles. That's the formula we just learned. We just practiced on the last one. Once you find what the sum is, you need to subtract those 3 angles that you know. That'll give you the 4th angle that you don't know. Anyone have it for me? 144. Good. Now, that's the way we're going to do all of these. We'll just have more numbers to subtract the more sides that we have. Okay? I did 4 minus 2 times 180 to get 360. Just the formula we were using on the last slide. So n minus 2. N is the number of sides, so I counted that there were 4 sides. So 4 minus 2, and then multiply by 180. So like on example 5, what's our n? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, n is 5. So we need to start this one by doing 5 minus 2 times 180. What is 5 minus 2 times 180? 540. So now they should all add up to give me 540 degrees. So I'm going to start with 540, and what am I going to do? Subtract. Subtract the angles that you know. That should leave you with the one that you don't know. have it? Yeah, I'm coming up with 120 as well. So you have to approach these in 2 steps. First, you have to find what they should all add up to give you. And then you do some subtraction to find your missing guy. Questions? Alright, let's take a look at this last one. So what's n? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So n equals 6. So I need to do 6 minus 2 multiplied by 180. 720. So I need to take 720 and do what with it? Subtract. Subtract all those angles that you know. Whoops. 160, 90, 135. I am out of space. 146. You're going to subtract them all. And yes, you should get that. Angle A has to be 65 degrees in order for this to work. Sorry, I ran out of working space. All I did though was I did 720, that's the entire sum of the angles, and then I subtracted each one of these. And I came up with 65 degrees, so angle A must be 65 degrees. What are your questions? This is what you need to know about the interior angles. Then we're going to switch gears and talk about the exterior angles. But like I said at the beginning, exteriors are a little bit easier. Questions? Alright, here's what you need to know about exterior angles. I told you these are a little bit easier. First, we'll just talk about what are exterior angles. To make an exterior angle, you take a side of the polygon and you just extend it on and on and on. Okay, that will create an exterior angle. So an exterior angle has one side of the polygon and then its extension. So here's like a side of the polygon and its extension. Side of the polygon and its extension. All of those added together, the sum of the measure of the exterior angles is always 360. No matter how many sides you have, no matter what your n is, all those exterior angles will add to 360. So that's why I said these are a little bit easier. You don't need to do any like n minus 2 times anything. Always adds to 360. So now we're looking for another missing angle, same sort of idea as last time. But what should they all add up to now? Exterior angles always add up to 360. So we're going to write an equation adding all these angles and making it equal to 360. Which is basically what we were doing on the last slide. We usually just didn't really write it out. We kind of skipped right to the subtraction step because we were only missing one angle. But when you're given something like this where you have x's, especially if it's in more than one spot, it's easier to just write an equation. So I started here and then I just added all the angles around the polygon, set it equal to 360. I can solve for x now and then I will be done. Do you guys know how to solve for x here? Yeah, you have to combine like terms. So 1x plus 1x is 2x. And then we have 100, 30, and 130. All on the same side of the equal sign. So you can add those. You get 260. And that still equals 360. How can I solve for x now? Subtract. So we need to subtract the 260. So this is going to be 2x equals 100. So what's x equal? Whoops. Typo. There we go. X equals 50. Good. What questions do you guys have on number 7? Alright, same sort of setup on number 8. So how should I start this one? Yeah, so you just start with the x and then just add the angles. Alright, so we can combine all these like terms. So what's 80 plus 110 plus 100? 290, and then you can subtract 290 from both sides. So what's x equal? 70. Very good. What are your questions on exterior angles? We're going to practice with 2 more examples. So if you're still a little confused, you'll have another chance. It's easier than the interiors, isn't it? Oh, I didn't say it was easy. I just said easier than the interiors. No, this is a difficult section. That's why we're doing it over 2 days. So I'm with you. Questions on these 2? Alright, you don't need to draw either of these. We can just jump right into figuring them out. So how should I start example 9? You can do the work with me as we go. They should all add to what? Good. Just start anywhere you want. I'm going to start with this top x. And I'm just going to go around so I don't forget any. So x, then I'll go to the 83. Then I'll go to the 47. Then I'll go to the other x. Then the 70. And then we said that all those added together should give me 360. Combine like terms, 1x plus 1x is 2x plus, we need to do 83 plus 47 plus 70. Okay, then what? So 2x equals 160. So what's x have to equal? 80. Very good. Questions? Now 10's a little different. I see an angle over here that doesn't have anything on it. Wouldn't that be 90? Yes, definitely. So, when you are setting up your equation, make sure that you recognize that that is 90 degrees. The reason it's 90 degrees is because this is a right angle. These lines are perpendicular, so they're both 90. Alright, so I need to set it up the same way. So I'm going to add the angles. Now, normally parentheses will tell you that you're distributing something, but there's nothing to distribute here. So you can write it with the parentheses, you can drop the parentheses at this point. It's actually just a personal preference. The most important thing is that you don't forget that 90. Alright, and then we're going to add these. So 6x and 8x is what? 14x. Plus 4 and 90 is 94. Equals 360. Then what? Subtract 94 from both sides. Good. So we have 14x equals 266. And then what's 266 divided by 14? 19. Very good. Alright, I'm going to leave these on the board while I pass out your homework. Then I want to do one from each section with you. And then you'll have the rest of this class period to finish this worksheet. And then you'll get an additional worksheet for extra practice tomorrow. Alright, I'm going to let you try 1 and 2 on your own. It's pretty easy. You're just naming an interior angle and then you're naming an exterior angle. Jump down to number 3 through 8 though. I want to change the directions for 3 through 8. Just find the measure of angle 1. I don't care what the equation is. I don't care how you find the measure of angle 1. Just find it. They want you to set up the equation. They want you to do like all the work except the last step. To me, it just feels more complete when you actually finish it. So we're going to go ahead and finish it. So let's look at one of each type. Number 3, we're looking for the measure of angle 1. Angle 1 is an interior angle, so that's where you have to do the whole like n thing. What is n on number 3? 4. So I need to find out what all those angles should add up to. So I'm going to do 4 minus 2 times 180. What should they all add to give me? 360. Good. So I know the total of the angles should be 360. The sum when you add them all up is 360. I know 3 of them. I don't know 1 of them. So take the 3 that you know and subtract them. That'll give you the one that you do not know. Anyone know what it is? Yes. 65. So that is your answer. What are your questions? Alright, let's jump down to number 6 because now it's an exterior angle. So how am I going to start this one? Remember, I'm looking for angle 1, so let's just call angle 1 x. So what do I know about x? What can you do with the x? I can add some things to it, right? I can add the 80 and the 150. And what should that give me? These are exterior angles. Exterior angles always add to 360. Good. So you can combine these like terms. That's what, 230? So what's x equal? 130. Great. What are your questions? All right, jump down to number 9. Number 9, you're just trying to find the sum. The sum of the interior angle. So the first thing you need to do is find n. What is n on number 9? 5. So you need to do 5 minus 2 times 180. What is it? 540, good. Great, and then number 12 is actually the exact same thing that we did on number 3. So that's where you start with the n, find the sum, and then subtract the angles that you know. And then I want to see what you guys can come up with on your own for 15, 16, and 17. So go ahead and finish this worksheet. This worksheet is for a completion grade. So when you walk into class tomorrow, you need to have this worksheet with you, and it needs to be completed. We will start class by discussing what you guys got, going over any questions that you need help with, and then I'm going to give you another worksheet that you will do in class just for additional practice. I think this section is a bit challenging. It's pretty algebra heavy, and depending on the section, you kind of set them up in a similar way, but not exactly the same. So I do want to spend a couple days on these. If you feel like you're lost, make sure you're asking questions. Again, if we're spending 2 days on it, it's probably important. Probably something you should not just forget about if you're not getting. So speak up if you need help, and make sure this is done by the time I see you tomorrow. Any questions?